This is Honest Neighbour, a podcast about real estate, Oxford County, and everything in between. So what are we doing here? This is the Honest Neighbour podcast.
I guess so.
And it's, what was your tagline that you wrote, Kelly?
Oh, I made a tagline. Real estate, Oxford County, and everything in between.
I love it. That's great.
I like
I know,
it.
fancy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll start.
So, okay, should we start with why are we doing a podcast? Or should we start with
Maybe who we are and then why we're doing a podcast.
All right, well, Kelly, why don't you regale us with your origin
I'll start.
story?
I'm Kelly Byers. I've been a realtor since 2010. I started at Sutton Group in Woodstock, and I've been with Remax since 2020. Fuck.
I can just see the editing hours expanding. Yeah. This will be ready for August.
I'll try again.
Ben is going to come out in half a year and he's like, Ben, you do have children.
I'll be like bearded, like Nicolas Cage.
I've been a realtor since 2010. Do you want to hear my cute story of how I got into real estate?
I think I want to hear any story about how you got into real estate.
Okay, so I used to work for the Stratford Festival, and I was in the marketing department there, and I literally made like $14 an hour. I sold like memberships. I tried to get people to donate money that really enjoyed the theater. And then I met my previous boss, and he basically said, look, if you can sell theater tickets and you can sell donations to the Stratford Festival, you can sell real estate. And I loved real estate. This is when I thought it was really easy to do. So naturally, I got my license thinking this is going to be the easiest job
pretty
in the
common
world.
thing, isn't it?
Oh my goodness! And I got my license because I thought it'd be the easiest job in the world, and I'd make way more money. And I do make more money, but it is way harder than I thought it would be. So yeah, that's my cute story.
Cool. Awesome. Neil, do you want to talk about your origin story a little closer to the microphone, or do you?
Oh, okay.
Why don't you bring it in a little bit? Okay.
My name's Neil Crucial. I am a broker with Remax AB. I have been in real estate since 2004. I'm a Virgo. I like long walks on the beach.
Oh, I'm a Sagittarius. So this doesn't surprise me that we clash.
So no, but realistically, I started transitioning into industrial and commercial sales around 2011, 2012. And yeah, it's been an interesting go watching Woodstock blossom.
Why did you get into real estate though?
Very similar to Kelly's. I actually had people try and get me into real estate several years before I actually got into real estate. One of my girlfriend's parents were realtors, and they kind of suggested I do it, and I really wasn't ready at the time. And then a few years later, somebody else said to me, they're like, listen, man, I was selling stereos at the time, and they're like, if you can sell a $30,000 stereo, you can probably sell a $50,000 condo, because at the time the condos on Springbank were selling for like $57,000.
I miss those days.
Imagine if you had 20 of those.
No, right I know. I can't even imagine. So.
Can we guess Ben's star sign before he tells us?
Oh, this is fun. Yeah.
Okay, wait. Hold on.
You should be able to guess it. It's pretty obvious.
Are
if
you
you
an
believe
Aries?
That. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, what?
An Aries.
I'm
He's
an
an Aries.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't actually know when your birthday is. I'm not like, sorry, I'm a bad friend.
It's somewhere in the Aries range.
Yeah, you can tell.
Don't want to maybe say my birthday because I don't want that.
People knowing when you...
It's an identity theft issue, maybe? I don't really know.
It's funny because my second guess is going to be Pisces, but I think...
I don't know what that means.
Well, no, you're more
Fish.
of a... Yeah.
Well, I know that. I've always used Aries as an excuse to be kind of stubborn at times. Because I know that's like a major trait of Aries. I'm not really into that astrology
that's exactly
stuff at
why
all.
I thought that.
But Aries is also the god of war, right?
Yeah, see, that doesn't really describe me at all, though, I don't think.
So it's...
I'm not like cunning war strategist or anything.
No, I know, but it's odd that he's an astrological sign, but he's also the god.
So I think when you said Virgo, I'm like, oh yeah, you're definitely a Virgo, because Virgos and Sagittariuses can be feisty. They don't always get along.
I know nothing of this.
I'm
a Sagittarius.
My
I know what
wife
it means.
would be better suited to discuss this. I know nothing about any of
I don't know
that.
anything about them other than when I read it in my 17 magazine when I was growing up.
It's a bunch of claptrap, to be honest with you.
No. So, okay, we say that, but I knew exactly what you were.
That is pretty
based
impressive.
on...
Is it possible
and I
that
don't know when your birthday is.
Is it possible that you've seen me like reference the fact that I'm an Aries when I'm
No.
behaving?
No,
poorly?
actually, because I never heard you brought it up.
I would have assumed you don't believe in that.
Yeah, I don't really, but there is an awful lot of coincidental occurrences that I, like we experience in my body, like when I get angry about something. It's like, oh yeah, it's classic Aries, even though I know nothing about it. But people will be like, oh, you're such an Aries. Like,
I'm going to sound closed-minded, but to be perfectly honest, friends aren't friends anymore if they believe in that. So. No, I'm just kidding.
The podcast is over. Well, that was a good first and last episode.
And we'll wrap it up.
No, it's just something. It's just so rooted in ambiguity that it's just so vague when they give you those things.
Anything could be like true or whatever. Yeah. Anyway,
I do think there's an element of, if you really strongly believe in them, it could also be that you need something in your life to like guide you. So I find that people that very strongly believe in their star sign typically aren't very religious. And so maybe you're just looking for something to give you some guidance, right?
It could be some kind of placebo effect. Is that what you mean?
Totally.
Kind of yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
to be perfectly honest, I will say this, and I'm going to enter into a subject that's kind of personal, but when you face any kind of issues in your life where if you go into a 12-step program or anything like that, the emphasis is quite a bit on, some sort of structure, a lot of the time, religion or whether it's anything like that. And so I can see if somebody finds some ability to garner some, personal strength from that information out of it based on that, I can see that's a great thing as far as structure goes. But it's just... it just becomes amazingly unbelievable. That's all.
I'm going to read them every day now, and I'm going to text both of you guys your forecast for the day.
Can't wait.
So you can make all your life decisions based on what your star sign says. Oh, I feel bad for you already because I'm going to do it.
I know you dream interpretation books.
You're probably going to get one of those apps that just sends you the whatever your horoscope is every day. I can sign you guys
up for those automatically. It can email them to you.
That's nice.
You're welcome. Ben, why did you get into real estate?
With friends like that, who needs enemies? I thought you'd never ask. Well, I did sales forever. Like ever since I was working an actual job, I was doing sales. Most recently, before real estate, I was working in retail downtown Toronto, Long and McQuaid, and it was equal parts.
Are you the first Mike?
Yeah.
No, you are.
No, I think you.
No, I'm the one on the far right.
Oh,
but
then
not
you're
the
okay.
red.
Never mind. It didn't seem like it was picking up.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Don't worry. I can fix all that.
Okay. Sorry.
So I guess I'll start again, Kelly. So I was doing sales, right?
That's working better.
I had, ever since I had an actual job, it was sales. I worked for a local manufacturer, Maglin. Was doing sales for them. They're now a really big business. Back then it was like 6 employees, and I don't even know how many they have now, but they're up by the highway, and that's always like status,
that's awesome.
right? And then I worked at Long and McQuaid in downtown Toronto right before I got into real estate, and that was like equal parts amazing and torture at the same time. Like retail is really difficult. But my favorite part of that was always like when you solved a problem for somebody, because the equipment, like people with money would just come in there and buy stuff and they had no idea how to use any of it. And you could just spend an hour with them. This wasn't really part of the job, but we did it anyways. Like helping them figure that stuff out and like being able to do what they want to do with it. That was what made me enjoy that job. That and the other people, but like the other employees. But it was just that like people reward thing that really made me think like, I kind of, as much as people drive you crazy, like I kind of just like to work with people. So, and I know you're laughing because this is like the canned answer. It's like, oh, I like people, right?
I didn't say anything.
You call bullshit.
But it's true. It's true. And then I was out partying with some friends one night, and we were in Toronto, and like I was making no money, and like my car had broken down earlier like that week, and it needed like $1,000 repair, and I'm like, I make no money. This is brutal. I can't live in this city anymore. And I'm thinking about another career and like maybe real estate. And my buddy Mark, who I was hanging out with at the time, he's like, you absolutely should do that. And then he started like talking to me about how like what it's like not that he knows anything about it, but he's an HR guy. So he like understands at that time. I was like in my early 20s, and he like kind of understood more than I did about that. And from then I just did my courses at home while I was working, and we actually moved to Woodstock, and I was licensed, and I started selling in my hometown of Woodstock like right away. And it was a huge gamble, and it more or less paid off, I guess. So that's how I ended up selling real estate.
side note to that story about just like making no money and being like, I have to do
is brutal.
something that literally for me was, okay, I have to do something else. And I actually applied at some of the banks in town because I had a university degree. I was fairly qualified to do a lot of things, although I had a political science degree.
Looks great on a wall.
And it
looks great on Facebook too.
I had a political science major, business administration minor. I applied at a bunch of the banks and they were like, you're overqualified for the jobs you're applying for. So I'm applying for jobs, not getting them because I'm apparently overqualified. And yeah, real estate was just like, okay, this is something I probably can do and be good at.
Yeah.
And almost anything will be better than the job I am doing
Absolutely.
now, making almost minimum wage.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anybody in Woodstock. This is my husband's town. So I went and knocked on doors in town. And
did you really?
I did. I
for
went
you.
and knocked the entire neighborhood we lived in, introduced myself to people and said, do you have a house to sell? And then, of course, almost everybody said no. But what that I learned from that is people are nicer at the door than you think they're going to be.
Totally.
And I actually went and knocked on for sale. So then what I did instead is I knocked on for sale by owner doors because this is before people who were selling their house by themselves would put it on MLS.
Yeah.
So they were actual for sale by owner, just a sign on the lawn. I went and knocked on all their doors and got 3 listings in my first month in real estate.
Yeah. That's
Which is
I think
something
there's a
big deal at
dynamic
the
issue
time.
about knocking on doors, though. I think it all depends on
Like
your
a power dynamic?
I think it depends
That's
on
fair.
who you are.
Right.
I've only ever personally, I have an issue with knocking on doors, only because I guess realistically, when I go shop for something, let's say I go to a car dealership, I would never leave my phone number because I hate being called and badgered afterwards. And I find that I don't like when people bang on my door, and
That's
I
fair.
hate banging on people's doors. So I find I'm awkward at it.
Yeah.
And I also find, though, because I'm a male and because I have a very deep voice, I've had a couple of clients who had asked me to go bang on doors of elderly women who had property that might be coming up for sale. And I could tell as soon as they answered the door, they were hesitant. They wouldn't even open the door to talk to me, even though I'm in a collar and a tie or a suit or anything like that. It's just, it became they were instantly wary of
Right.
me.
I had an advantage over you on that.
So
People
what,
probably thought I did help.
the only time I've ever really door knocked is when I was working with Janice Costa, like my former teammate, and we would door knock together. And
That's
then
nice.
that way it didn't really matter. Like she was, good looking and soft spoken, and I was kind of not good looking and loud. So it was just like,
They're probably making sure Janice didn't need help.
there's probably an element.
They were
of
looking
truth
for her
in
to
that.
sign those signals that they have on
Oh yeah, like
help.
So we had that nice dynamic where it kind of didn't matter who answered the door. Like we kind of could personality match them well. But anyway,
That's nice.
yeah. I don't really do door knocking anymore.
I don't know.
I just find it. I'm very nervous. I don't know why you get this welled up
I'll go with
build
you.
in the stomach. And
When was the last door you knocked on, Neil?
Oh, probably
like unsolicitedly.
5 years ago. It
5 years ago?
It was a farm for an investment property, and it was the one where it was the little old lady. And I said, as of that time, after that, I got Pam. I would if a client
See,
said,
you've got a built-in buffer.
so I use Pam to knock on doors because she does not have she doesn't get turned away as quickly. I find also that, and I'll be honest because I know how I am, and this is grossly hypocritical, I'm sure, but I am way more abrasive probably to male people that would bang on my door than I would be. Like I'm less tolerant to shit.
Yeah, I understand.
If they give me flack, then all of a sudden the gloves come off a lot sooner than if a female were to. And I don't know why I have that bias, but I just, for some reason, it just comes from
That's fair.
salespeople. I guess.
That's fair.
All right, so we've introduced ourselves, so now our listener knows who we are. And
Thanks, Mom.
so here's what I'm going to suggest we do. Like, why don't we wrap up this episode? This was a short get to know you thing,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
then we will see you
check that
guys
our
next
phones and
time.
everything
Cool.
worked.
Yeah, perfect.